All right, so we're out here in the middle of the desert trying to do a crazy remote workflow. We're trying to turn around a video in less than 24 hours using a combination of Starlink, Camera Cloud workflows, and Eddy AI. All right, so we're back in the studio. That location video that we just opened with, we're trying to film, basically find a lot of the main locations from the one battle after another car chase scene. And the idea of that video was to shoot something, kind of capitalize on the virality of one battle after another online, and then put a video out about that very fast. So the behind the scenes goal of that video was to put all the latest Camera Cloud and AI assisted editing tools like Eddy AI to the test to see if we could use them to shoot and edit and deliver a video extremely fast. Check out the video if you watched the film, enjoyed the cinematography of it. We try to track down a lot of the locations, and it's a very beautiful area. Let's jump over to its behind the scenes footage that we shot while we were filming the video out in the middle of the desert with this whole setup in action. And then I'll jump into Eddy AI to show how it sped up the editing process. Shooting wise, we were shooting on the Blackmagic PYXIS. It has built-in Camera Cloud workflow. It does not have built-in Wi-Fi, which is a bit annoying, and it doesn't have a USB-C Wi-Fi adapter, which I would love it if Blackmagic made something like that. But it does have an Ethernet port. How do we get internet connection in the middle of the desert? I rented a Starlink. We've got our Starlink set up. It's my first time using it. Starlink goes into this modem here. I've got a battery pack that's able to power the Starlink and my laptop. And then out of the Starlink is an Ethernet cable, which we plug into the PYXIS. And then the PYXIS just connects to Blackmagic Cloud and starts uploading the proxies. Kirill, the editor, is receiving the proxies through Blackmagic Cloud. And then Eddy AI is able to work with just the proxies and a Blackmagic Cloud project, analyze the proxies, analyze the footage, tag all the B-roll so that he can start editing. But then later on, when we go back to the edit, all the B-roll is already tagged. We can search for stuff. It'll automatically assemble a timeline of best picks, and it'll just make everything a lot faster in that second round of revisions to find everything so we can get this uploaded quicker. And then also here too, this is putting out a Wi-Fi signal. And so my laptop and devices and everything can connect there. And so I also have some footage and media and the audio files from the technical mic that I'm recording on, syncing into the Blackmagic Cloud project here, same cloud project, and then that's also uploading the audio files to the server so that Kirill can get all of the files to deal with, whether we're using it on the PYXIS or we're uploading it separately. All right, so back in the studio, let's hop over into Resolve and let's run through how Eddy AI helped speed up the editing process. And also just to note, Eddy AI was a sponsor of the One Battle After Another video and also sponsored this video, but they don't have any editorial approval, and I got some comments and stuff about how it could improve, but they're very responsive to notes, and I've been a big fan of them since some of my earlier videos. So yeah, just want to get that out of the way. But let's jump into how it came into play. All right, so inside our project, we had all the footage, and then we split up most of the shots that would sort of fall into the B-roll bucket, and then we sent all of that to an Eddy AI project to analyze it as B-roll. You can check out the whole Eddy AI video that we have that goes into the nitty-gritty of how to actually do that. So I'm not going to show that here. I'll just kind of show some clips of the overall process. At the time, I did have to split it into 2 different batches to process all of the B-roll from our PYXIS camera, just because I think there was like a 50 clip limit. But now they actually have a 1,000 clip limit of how many clips it can process for B-roll, so we wouldn't have to do that again. So we had to analyze the A-roll clips, and I'll run through that in a second. And then the other thing that I had to analyze, and this is where it really came into play and was really helpful, was we had an Insta360 mounted inside the dashboard of the car, and I just kind of rolled a lot on that for a lot of driving shots throughout the desert and throughout the road and throughout a lot of different locations. It was probably an hour or 2 of just that footage. And normally that can be kind of a pain if you have GoPro cameras or these other types of cameras that are just rolling all the time. It's a pain to sift through and kind of find the good moments or the good stuff from it. Eddy AI really helped with analyzing that footage. The one catch issue that we had to work around was Eddy AI has a 10-minute per clip limit when you're analyzing B-roll. If you're doing A-roll, like interview stuff, it doesn't have the limit, but it analyzes it in a different way, which isn't useful to what we're trying to do. But for B-roll, there's a 10-minute per limit clip. So the workaround with that was I asked Claude Code to write a script that would take all of the long takes from Insta360 and split them up into 10-minute clips. We have a separate video on Claude Code. If you want me to make a video about that, I could just leave it in the comments. I don't have a specific video about that, but I basically just asked Claude Code to make a thing that would do that, and then it did that after installing FFmpeg and a couple other packages of things it needed to do. So it did that. So what does it do? All right, so for our regular ACAM B-roll stuff, it spits back and gives you back a new bin with your clips divided into subclips with much more detailed labeling. So at the top level, you get a string out of all of the clips that it assembled. Cool, but the cooler thing, and this was an option that you check when you're importing or when you're running the B-roll analysis, is find the best subclips and do a string out of just the best moments. And so obviously best moments is arbitrary and could mean anything, but this is a really fast way if you're just trying to like do transition scenes or find kind of just cool beats to cut to, and you just want to speed up the process of just gathering a bunch of cool moments from the footage that you shot that's usable, not super shaky, looks cool. This is great for that. And so it has a string out of just, as I'm skimming through, you can see just a variety of shots where they all look pretty good. And then we can see over here, we have all these other bins that grouped all of our footage by category. So desert driving, highway focus, desert driving, side mirror focus of just shots of the side mirror, desert driving, windy road, signage. And then also, as you can see, it has descriptive names for these subclips that it made from the footage. Some of the way it's organized, I feel like it's a limitation of Resolve. Like, I don't love the way it does handle subclips and stuff, but that's more of a Resolve issue. This would be really, really good if you were working in Final Cut, because Final Cut has range-based keywords, so you can take your long clip and then add specific keywords to just specific ranges of that. It's not really featured in Resolve. I wish that Resolve and Premiere would add more features like that, because it would make sorting and finding things a lot easier, but that's a separate topic. So for this, subclips with descriptive titles is sort of the best you can do. And then obviously if you wanted to make smart bins based on specific words, you can make smart bins to kind of filter out or source footage from the metadata that Eddy AI adds. And then I also have a similar thing in, because I had to split this up into two B-roll groups. We have a similar thing with finding the footage and tagging the footage. And then even what's really wild is if we look at this B-roll group, it even pulled info from text from the signs. So like Anza Borrego Desert, that is the name of the desert that we were at. And it pulled this data from shots of the sign. So like we have the Borrego Springs welcome sign, this shot of the map that says Anza Borrego. And then honestly, oh, you know, I could barely even see this, but that's pretty wild. This shot of the welcome sign in here too. So really wild of like how much it was able to scan and pull from the text and details inside the footage. And the other thing that came in really handy was like, I remember seeing some things when we were filming of like shots of signs, you know, that says like Dipson Road. And so I knew that was going to be like a good moment. I knew it exists. And it's like, okay, how do we find that? And, you know, basically it was a matter of just finding the group of sign and details, and then here, boom, shot of the sign that says dips. And then the other thing that this sort of feature came in really handy was going back to our Insta360 footage, the find best subclip string out. This was great for just finding and assembling a rough cut of a variety of good moments for montage beats and transition shots. As you can see, it's kind of just grabbed a grab bag of shots for that. And this is sort of at the high level of our entire B-roll analysis project that we gave to Eddy AI. But then inside each bin with each description, so like if we wanted to just focus on rough terrain dirt roads, each bin has also a select of assembly cut of best moments of clips that fit that. So in this case too, like just rough roads, we have I wouldn't say that's the roughest road, but we have a selection of shots of good moments of just footage that fits that description. You know, kind of same thing with dashboard perspective. Yeah, maybe because the footage is so similar, this isn't the best example. But here, if we go back to our other group, hazy, atmospheric, desert, we can look at our string out of best moments from that and see our variety of shots already pulled and selected of atmospheric desert moments. Yeah, and so that's pretty much an overview of where the AI tools came into play with Eddy AI in helping edit this a lot faster. I've said it before, I feel like a lot of the AI editing tools, nothing's really gonna replace kind of just knowing all of your footage, but where it really shines and where Eddy AI really shined with this project was analyzing all the B-roll, and then in that second, third, fourth edit where we're trying to refine it, we're trying to polish it, we're doing those transition beats, we're looking for specific shots, that's where it really came in handy. Because it's like, I know that exists somewhere, or, oh, can we just get an assembly of like desert driving shots? And then it's done and it's already here and stuff's already pulled and it's easy to find. So that's where it worked out really well. All right, so now let's wrap up and go back to the desert at the end of the day when we're filming to show when some of the workflow ideas didn't work out so well. All right, so pretty much end of the day, sun is setting. So we're doing our last setup to upload our proxy footage to Blackmagic Cloud. So we've got Starlink set up over here, getting the car rig set up. And so we're gonna plug in the PYXIS, upload the last batch of footage. All right, so I just wanted to go back to the desert shot with the car because I thought it looked pretty cool. But the second time we set up Starlink, it didn't work out as well as the first time. The first time when I was walking through the demo, we were getting maybe 30 megabyte per second upload speeds. When I set it up the second time, it was, I don't even remember, crawling maybe around 3 or 4 megabytes upload, which sometimes kind of crunched down to kilobytes. I did make the mistake of trying to upload from a couple sources. So then I had the laptop connected to the Wi-Fi, I had the PYXIS plugged in, and then I think I might have had some audio files uploading from another source. So that also kind of crunched the network. So I killed everything else except for the PYXIS, but it was still too slow and not worth waiting around there to upload everything. So I just kind of packed it up and left. If I was trying to do a more semi-permanent setup or was doing a lot of this, we had sort of the big regular Starlink where you kind of got to stop and plop it down, and then it automatically finds positioning with the satellites. I believe it's rated where it does get higher speeds if it has a really good connection. There is a smaller travel version of the Starlink. And so if there was a more like on the run semi-permanent setup with a car that we could modify or something, you could set up the smaller Starlink like on a roof or something of the car and have more of a constant internet connection that you could connect and plug the cameras in so you're uploading throughout the day. Like the biggest issue here was we sort of had to stop everything, set it up, and upload. We couldn't upload throughout the day, which would have saved a lot more time and sped up this camera to cloud workflow idea. Also, if the PYXIS had Wi-Fi, that would be amazing instead of having to plug in an Ethernet cable every time we wanted to upload from the PYXIS. All right, and that's it for this experiment and behind the scenes look of trying to film a video in the middle of the desert and use camera to cloud and AI editing tools to do a super fast turnaround. Let me know what you think of this workflow and let me know if you have any questions or have tried similar workflows yourself. Let me know down in the comments. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you in the next episode.